Hello, and welcome to New Beginnings Start Today, the podcast that helps people grow deeper in their faith in the Lord. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas Keffer, a ministered, licensed clinical pastoral counselor here in Roanoke, Virginia, with a passion for helping people to live their faith. Today, we're going to talk about challenges of your work and how you can learn to approach what you do for a living with enthusiasm and pride. Let's look at this. There are very few people who go off to work every day and really enjoy what it is they do. Stop and think about what you were thinking on your way to work this morning, and I would imagine it was not about how you could show your employer how excited you were to go to your workstation and perform at 110% for your job. This is also indicative of how few people really take pride in their work. I think of my wife and the reputation she had in the banking industry for over 50 years. She started as a teller shortly after we were married and worked with diligence, really taking pride in what she did. She held many positions and learned new things in all that she did, and it was evident to those she reported to that she was there to do her job to the best of her ability, and she did. She was rewarded for the excellent job she did upon her retirement and was sorely missed. I am very proud of her and the example she set for our sons and her co workers of how to work unto the Lord. She learned that work ethic in how she was raised by her dear mother, and who had the same work ethic and was so respected by those she worked for and with as well. God intended us to work from the very beginning of humankind, as recorded in Genesis 2 and verse 15, which says, "The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it." Genesis 2:15. God has always intended for us to work at being productive so that we would learn to appreciate all the things that He intended for us to have. He Himself worked for 6 days to create the world we live in, and we see the results. A beautiful world with all of the beauty we see around us every day. Can you imagine how Adam felt when he stepped into that beautiful garden and was given the instructions to work it and take care of it? It was not going to stay beautiful by itself. He knew that he had things to do from the time he got up in the morning until it was time to sleep. I would love to have seen the daily schedule that was there to allow him to feel productive with all the things he knew that he was to do. I am sure that God built time for Adam and Eve to rest for all the labor that went into taking care of the Garden of Eden. God established the need for a work ethic from the very beginning, and that need is just as important today as it was for the first workers in God's creation. The Apostle Paul gives the Christians at Colossae insight into the importance of having a work ethic that gives glory to the Lord's care of us in our daily work, when he wrote, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward." as a reward, he says. As a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Colossians 3, verses 23 and 24. Paul wants us to know that our motivation needs to be when we walk into our place of business to spend the next 8 hours or more. We need to know what the motivation is for that. Our motivation is more than just getting a paycheck. It is to work at what it is we do with all our hearts. That means that you are to work and have the commitment to your job because you know that this is what the Lord expects of you. Yes, I find it interesting that I can walk through a super center and pass associates working there, and the vast majority of them have their name badges turned backwards. This is probably intentional with most of them because they do not want you to know their name, first of all. And they really do not want you to stop them and ask them a question so that they can help you find something in that department. Why? They mostly do not want to be there in the first place, but they need the money. I am also noticing that I am the one to have to take the initiative for a smile or good morning to them, as most of them are oblivious to my presence. When an associate does initiate a greeting, I am sure to take the time, to acknowledge their effort and make an encouraging comment to them. Their smile back to me is priceless because I am sure that my encouraging comment is probably the only one they are going to hear during their shift or their 8 hours or whatever time that they work. Probably. When we learn that we are to work at it with all our heart, we will begin to understand what Paul then says as working for the Lord, not for human masters. This gives a whole new meaning to why you are there doing your job. You are working for the Lord, not for those who own the company that you work for. I have told church leadership for years, the Lord signs my paycheck. I truly believe that when I was in the pulpit ministry. When I was in private practice as a licensed clinical pastoral counselor, I had the same belief every time I or my administrative assistant wrote up the deposit slip for the amount of fees for the week. This to me was the Lord saying, "Well done." I want you to begin to think of your work in that context. I want you to believe that the hours you spend doing what you are hired to do, you are doing it for the Lord. This is an easy concept to hear, but it is hard to implement because of how our society has trained us to believe that you are underpaid and unappreciated. I have to say that many, many times that is true. We are Christians, and as Christians, we must have a different mindset of how we approach our work. It makes no difference of what your position is, where you work, whether you are the manager or you're the janitor or you're the owner. You have to approach your responsibilities with the fervor of doing that job as though Jesus was right there with you, telling you what a good job you are doing. This may sound strange to many of you, but I want you to know that it will change how you look at what you do and bring greater satisfaction to those many hours you spend at your work being away from home. Pardon me. Paul also tells us about the reward you will receive if you approach your job this way, as working for the Lord. He tells us, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. Colossians 3, verse 24. I don't believe many people think about receiving a reward from the Lord for doing their job. That is exactly what the Lord promises us when we look at what we do in life as doing it for Him. I can tell you every morning that I unlock the door of my office suite, I would say, "Thank you, Lord, and use me today as your drink offering for everyone that you are sending to me today." I saw what it was that I did and that I am doing today as a privilege as God chose me to be his servant. I tell people that I believe I would have done the same thing in thanking him for the privilege to serve him, even if I had been working in the secular world. I want to encourage you to sit down today with a pen and a piece of paper and put a title at the top of the page that reads, "The Rewards of My Job." Then sit there and make a list of all the things that come to your mind of how your job is rewarding to you on most given days. You will see how quickly, you will truly see how quickly this brings a different perspective about how you see your job. What really blesses me about how I see the work I did and am doing for the Lord is the promise that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. The inheritance Paul is talking about is not a promotion or a raise in your pay. What we are promised is that we are going to spend eternity with God the Father and Jesus when our labor is done on this earth. There is nothing this world can offer you that can even come close to that promise. King Solomon wrote, "The soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich." Proverbs 13 and verse 4. Solomon describes the attitude of many people who go to work and put in as little effort to do their job as they can. This is the person who thinks that they should have gotten the promotion, but is told in their yearly review that they have shown little initiative of going above and beyond in what it is they were supposed to be doing. Solomon says this attitude is seen in the person who desires, but really has nothing because they don't want to invest in their work beyond what they can just get by with. Then there is the worker who looks for ways to be diligent in their work. They put in the extra time, help their fellow workers by seeing things they need help with, and jump right in there and help them. This kind of work is noticed by management, and it is time when it is time for their yearly review, they are told how much they are appreciated and are rewarded for their hard work. You will decide how you are going to face the challenges of your work by how you understand the reason you are working the way you work and for whom you work. Do you work unto the Lord, or is it simply to get a paycheck? When you understand the difference between these two ideas, you will have you will have much more success enjoying what it is you do for work. Thank you for listening to this episode. And I want to invite each of you to contact me and let me see how you find the motivation behind what it is you do for a living. Answer this question. What is it about your job that brings you the most satisfaction? If you're seeing this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button and the like button. Also, click on the share button and share it with all your friends. That would be so helpful to me. Tell me about other issues you would like me to address by leaving your comments. And you can email me at drdouglaskeffer@gmail.com. I also encourage you to order a copy of my new book, New Beginnings Start Today with God, on Amazon. Click on the link below. Until next time, God bless each of you.